define a moment in today's media landscape? Because you guys are all moment makers in your own way.
This is gonna sound a little different, but oftentimes, and this is gonna happen to everybody through accident, and she mentioned it. I've learned to harness innovation in its moment and also improvising, because things will not go right all the time, and there's times that the weather won't be right because it's inconsistent, and you have to find a way, even in the moment. Like, I find myself sometimes interviewing somebody and something will happen that I was not expecting, and I'll have to improvise in the moment, whether, even if I embarrass myself, just making it funny, but that's literally what can create the moment. It's what you do with that moment when it actually goes wrong, because it can always go right if it's by script.
Very well said. I have to agree. I'll add to that in terms of authenticity. I think the more that you are authentic about who you are and how you show up, you leave a lot of room for people to just connect in the way that they decide to. You know, I tell my dating stories online, and it's like not every story is gonna land. And then some of the stories that I'm like, ooh, that was real cringy, like people resonate with it. So it's really about showing up, telling your story in an authentic way, and leaving room for people to experience the in-between.
Yeah, I definitely feel like authenticity is gonna be the common denominator of that moment being made. But I also think that it's important to have on your blinders. Just like in school, I don't think you should be paying attention to anybody's paper but your own. I feel like if you put your blinders on, there's nobody who can distract you, and the moments happen naturally after that. You can't stop it because it's you. Nobody can stop you from doing what you are gonna do. So you gotta focus on yourself, and the moments will happen after that.
Right. Another thing about moments, all about relatability. One of my clients, Label Twain, he's the child of D'Angelo and Angie Stone. Rest in peace to both of them. Amazing people. Worked with them for 2 years. Amazing. And obviously everyone knows what happened. Example moment was we went on the Breakfast Club and he got to tell the story. And instead of just going to his shell, he just started embracing the jokes, the laughter, and just just a whole moment in time. And seeing that whole PR run, it's still going on, by the way. And it's relatability because like Swayable, I lost my parents a long time ago, so when you can relate to something, that really makes it a moment because everyone loves their parents. Well, for the most part, I don't know everyone's story, but y'all get what I'm saying. It's just really
In a healthy relationship, everyone loves their parents.
Absolutely.
Except if it's a toxic situation, right?
Yeah.
A moment with a campaign or something he was working on that shouldn't have worked, but then did, and then you ran with it.
Yeah, I'll just go back to the Swayable situation, with his parents. It was. I remember the day D'Angelo died. Well, to be honest, like a week before, and Sway was like, yeah, John, just give you a heads up. My pops is dying. I'm sitting there like, huh? I just woke up. A dog bite my foot. I'm already pissed. Answering the phone. I just started knocking on shit because I'm sitting there like, huh? But the reason why I say this to say this, when you're working this business, just part of moments too, is you always gotta remember the preparation you have for this. Back in even before just mentorship under Matt, one of my clients was DMX, and I remember the day before X passed away. Sorry. Yeah, Matt was just trying to be honest with you, and I had to calm him down. And we just had to just continue just to keep it moving, just understand this moment. Just a lot of people just depending on these figures that we work with, and just we gotta push through regardless of how down we are, how sad we are, and understand these moments have impact that last forever. So just gotta keep your head cool in the moments.
Can you repeat the question for me?
Sure. It was share an example of a moment or a campaign that shouldn't have worked for you, but ended up working for you, and then you ran with it.
Okay, I'm gonna do a campaign. I'm gonna do a moment instead of a campaign. Back to that, just being authentic. I often will be reached out to by entrepreneurs, creatives, people who give services, hairstylists, nail techs. And it's like, yo, can I do your nails and maybe we do some promo? And I think everybody is excited to see what can come out of somebody with a page that has traction with your business. But when you're creating a campaign for advertising, promotion is tricky. You can't just say, hey, I got my hair done by this person, go get your hair done by them. You have to create a message and you have to tell that story and people have to want to tap in. So she did my hair and we actually were we clicked. And it was like, yo, we're gonna make a plan. It was like, we're gonna make a plan for the future. Today we don't even need to do content. Let's just lock in, get to know each other, because she ended up being so cool. We was the same sign. You know how that go. You meet somebody, you just click. So I'm leaving the spot and I'm like, you know, my hair looks really nice. Let's get a video of me when I walk outside your shop. She's like, you sure? Like outside the shop? I just got here. She's like, no, it's not even my shop. I rent a room inside of here. Like, you sure? I was like, yeah, why not? Like, why not? And as we're walking out, you know how it is. It's New York City. Everybody here from New York. If you from New York, raise your hand. Just making sure. We New Yorkers in here, right? If you're not, it's cool. We adopt you. It's cool. But from New York, you know, at any time you could be outside. You walk outside on the sidewalk in New York City, in Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens, somebody gonna come up and ask you for something. If they see you, they're gonna ask you for something. So I went outside to try to do my video, and I saw this, to what looked a disheveled person. I don't know what they were, homeless. I don't know who they were. But I said, they look like they were walking away, so let me get my video in. So I started to do the video, and I made sure I wanted to get it fast done. So I was like, I just came to A, got my hair done, and I had my jacket in my hand. And I'm just trying to get the video quickly, but at the video probably 12 seconds at this point, y'all. I'm talking about I got bare words off. And at the right end of my video, the woman comes, the disheveled woman comes, and she says, you got a lighter? She got the cigarette in her mouth. You got a lighter for me? Posted that video, got 6 million views in 2 days. It's New York shit. You feel me? And because of the visibility, I watched her page go from 1,800 followers to 4K. And that's how you network across. She gave me a service. She didn't know how she was gonna get the clients, but they came. And I feel like that was a moment where it shouldn't have worked. Because I'm gonna be real with you, when people offer me services for promotion, I don't like to take them. Because I personally feel like that's not how you really get it done sometimes. Sometimes, yes. When you're really like you get Beyonce, yes. But sometimes it doesn't work all the time. So me just being the person I am, the way I built my platform, I don't really like to take money from certain businesses. I'd rather help you out, you know, for barter rather than taking money to promote you. So the fact that we had connected and I was able in the 15-second video that we were gonna make anyway. And boom, it happened. And it's like, I think things like that are important when it comes to media and creativity. It's like you must stay creative. You must feed your inner child and you must keep it fun and young and just keep it going. And one thing might not work, but if you keep having fun with it and you keep the ball rolling, something gonna roll. You'll be all right.
Very, very true. I love that. I love the randomness of LA. I'm sorry, LA. God, I used to live in LA, but I mean New York. I was literally on my friend's porch this morning, and this man just stole 2 packages out of an Amazon truck. I just want to buy his business. I was like, welcome to New York, Toronto. Oh my God. And he carried on with a cigarette in his mouth. That's what made me think of it. Literally, he got a big old box. I know he got a good package. I think about campaigns as a marketer. Prior to my experience as an actress and then working at the Oprah Winfrey Network was actually working in agency work. So an agency will hire, let's say it's like Netflix or Hulu, they'll have a television show and then they'll hire an agency and they do the creative for it. So I would sit on the strategy for a lot of those conversations. So there's this show that's coming out and there's, I don't remember the woman's name or ethnicity, but she pretended to be a 14-year-old boy in this television show. I know it sounds crazy, but she did this and it was paid for because what? White people. But they had all this huge budget and they wanted to do this like partnership with Arby's to get people to go and buy Arby's and with her and to watch the show about this woman pretending to be a kid. And then someone comes up with a brilliant idea in our strategy calls to bring in DJ Khaled because DJ Khaled at the time was like that guy. So if DJ Khaled co-signs it, like we're all gonna do that. Oh, period. It wasn't at the time, but we're trying. And so now I'm on these strategy calls, and I'm just like, I'm not understanding what we're doing here. What does DJ Khaled have to do with a 14-year-old, a burger, and a woman pretending to be a kid? And I'll say all this to say is like, the campaign did not work. Y'all don't know about this show at the fuck all. I barely do, and I worked on the damn thing. But there's also an element of like your voice has so much power. Like how I benefited from this is that on these calls are like, we know that Tremont gonna tell the truth and she's gonna speak the fuck up. Because if I don't think it's gonna work, it's just not gonna work. So from that campaign that quite failed, they brought me on board for the Tupac show that was about his mother that was also with Hulu. And they were like, man, we really want to do these specific colors. And you know, it's a bunch of white folks on the calls. And like one really cool black dude who's a creative director. I love our black creative directors at agencies because they really try the hardest to make it black and make it feel that way, but they're always pushed around by some of the other leadership. But they're like, we want to work with Tremont, so like bring her on, see what she has to think. And we get on this call and I'm like, you're doing a show about Tupac and all the colors you're using is like really hard, like concrete. It's crime scene, bright yellows, like these really, really harsh colors. And when you're selling a show about a mother, it has to be nurturing. It's got to be purples, oranges, love, compassion, because Tupac's mom was that girl. I mean, she raised him. He didn't just become himself on his own. You know, I got a lot of pushback on the call from other creators and other, creative strategists because it technically wasn't my account. But did they listen to me? Yes. If you look at that show, there are purples and there are oranges. And so I'll say your failure in one room might be a blessing in another. So speak up, be authentic, and don't be afraid to let your voice be heard.
So again, I'm gonna give you guys a different perspective. Speaking up is important, and I say that to say that I don't know if you guys have been told that if you talk to yourself, it's crazy. But I tell you, how do you reason yourself if you can't talk to yourself, right? With that being said, having social platforms is important to engage. And I, one time on Twitter, March 2022, decided to tweet. I had a lot of people telling me, Linda, you should start a podcast, you should start a podcast. But I did online radio in 2009, so to me, all these podcasts are coming. I'm like, I'd rather be on a podcast and support somebody else's podcast than start my own. And I tweeted in March 2022, I want to start a podcast-like show of the segment Ask Ashley from the show All That. That was literally just my tweet. I was just tweeting. I was on my tweet link. And I get a DM, and it's from this guy, and he says, if you're serious about this, I would love to produce a show. And I'm like, okay. So I do my background work. I got find out from friends we have mutual friends. I asked them, I'm like, hey, do you know this guy? So long story short, I end up meeting up with him. We sit down, we talk, and this was March. By August, we had signed a contract and we start filming Ask A Bar, which ends up running for 3 seasons. But I will tell you this, and you can go on YouTube right now, not one episode has over 1,000 views. However, it can still be discouraging, but it should never let you down. Because of that show on season 3, my whole staff, the production team decided we should go outside with the show. So we take a mic, we go outside, and we start filming outside. And I built this content on season 3 of being outside, and because of this content, in its season, as it's running, I go to support a friend at one of her events, and I meet a friend through a friend. This is why networking is important. And he just so happens to be right in the position where he's about to become the creative director at Hot 97. And shout out to JR. So we become great friends, and from there, it's October, December, he reaches out to me, and because of my show and being on the street, he has the opportunity to give me a show on Hot 97, and now I film on Hot 97 because of Ask A Bar. So I say that to say that even if you have an idea, tweet it, because you never know who's watching, you never know who's following you, and who's willing to offer you an opportunity. And with all the 3 seasons, not a single dime was spent. We all invested our time. They invested their production. I invested my time in getting a hairstylist, getting a makeup artist, doing the set, getting the props. And I have something to look back on and work from. And it's beautiful to see it because it's discouraging throughout the process as you're releasing these episodes and releasing a show and it's not going where you want it to go, but it can take you somewhere else. So that's it. That's my story.
Common mistake in storytelling: first being inauthentic, not being relatable, just following trends, being cliche. At the end of the day, we're all individual human beings. When you rally with your client. You gotta tell them hit X, Y, Z. I'll always will be like, okay. And then you just be yourself. Just be well spoken. Be confident. Be out loud. If you mess up with confidence. Even if they troll you on social media, it goes viral for trolling you on social media. It's exposure. You can always just come back again and just apologize. You just gotta own up to it.
I feel like there's so many mistakes, so let me pick my favorite. I feel like the most common mistake is probably timing. I think that and overthinking. I would put them like hand in hand, because I feel like people get so caught up on wanting their story heard. Then they go over and over on the logistics of how to tell that story. Before you want your story heard, before you try to tell your story in whatever logical or whatever pattern that'll be, you gotta find people who will listen. And how do you find people who will listen? You hook them. So a lot of the time, your story is not supposed to start at the beginning or the end. You find your moment in the middle. So I feel like it's one of those things. Like, you just have to keep going. It's like this. You never know. Somebody might find you here, they might find you here. They might find you here, they might find you here. But then when you just keep building your waves, eventually you got wave people who don't care where you at. They listening now. Now you tell your story. But you got to find your people. You first find your people, then you tell your story. And I feel like that's the most common mistake. We're talking to no one. You know?
I keep saying I love that, but I do. I like to be here, Okay? It's very kismet to be in a space with individuals who share that journey of like you're building from nothing to something and you have faith in yourselves. So I think the biggest mistake that a lot of us have is not being like faithful in yourself. Like having that idea like it didn't come to me for no reason. It just, you gotta show up for the work. I think overthinking is a large part of it, but also the perfectionism that comes with it. Like, we look at people like Beyonce, like, yeah, she is like the creme de la creme, but like the girl has been working, and you're gonna have to do the work in order to get to that level. And I think overthinking the work kind of hinders you a lot of time. A lot of like, I'm actually minored in drawing in college, and I didn't even know that I could draw until I got to my senior year in high school, and I had to take a class, and I'm like, well, shit, what am I gonna do? And this teacher's like, draw a bird, and then I draw like the best bird he's seen in years, and I'm like, well, goddamn, who knew about this bird? And then I go into, art classes in college, and then I'm meeting even better artists, and then you start comparing yourself, and it's like, it does not matter. Your start is your start. Because like she said, the wave is coming. So wherever you are in your journey, you just have to begin it. I don't believe that ideas come to you and leave you and go to somebody else. I think they're always yours, and they're just yours to be told in a very specific way. And so you have to embrace that way and not be afraid of the way that it also takes hold of you. So honoring where you're at, the mistake that you're gonna make is not honoring where you're at. And then you have those regrets, you have those second guesses that you don't need to be carrying throughout the rest of your life.
Everybody said amazing things. I will add on to how Rain compared it to like a roller coaster. A roller coaster is supposed to be fun, right? But it's also supposed to be scary. And it's gonna have its peaks. Remember that your peak is not supposed to be forever. Imagine you're just falling for just infinity, falling. It's not gonna be fun. After a while, it's like you're gonna lose that thrill. Even if you're scared, you're gonna lose that as well. It's gonna become like a monotony to you. So you need the waves, you need the peak, you need the down, because it's gonna mold you. But one thing that I will also mention is don't gatekeep. Don't gatekeep, not in your story, not with your resources, not with anything, because you never know what information can resonate with somebody, what information can connect you with somebody, what information can open a new door. And it's literally, I've met strangers that I've told them like things that are happening to me in the moment, and I don't care, because sometimes you just need to get something out. And in that moment, even if you don't get something back from you telling somebody, just you releasing it can give you a whole new epiphany of the situation. So I like to say my motto, change your setting. Everything is perspective.
Nice.